Okay, so we're here in Whitehaven, almost sunny Whitehaven, and due to the fact that John Clark is available, we're going to do a video together so I don't have to film myself. So quite a few people have asked for an update on the things we've been doing to the boat, to Puffin, over the last few months, so I thought I'd give you a bit of a walk around now outside Puffin, and we'll go down below and look what's gone on inside as well. Okay, so if we start at the bow, a few changes here straight away. One of the first things we did is we've actually added a second stay to Puffin. So this furler that you see here is what we call the Solent stay. So Puffin originally had the big Genoa on the bowsprit here, which we still have today, and what we've added is this second stay that we can fly a Yankee from. Basically what this does is gives me a second gear for the boat, if that makes sense. So I'll always carry a smaller sail on this stay. Then on this one, this will be my big Genoa, and then that one will be my sort of 100% Yankee. To do that, we had to rebuild the stem head fitting, which you can kind of see down there. John can get down there. So that enormous fitting that we've got running down the bow is a custom-made stem head to support this new stay, and we've got a lovely little new bow roller down there as well. So Solent stay and our original Genoa stay here on the bowsprit. We've still got our baby stay, or our where we'd fly a storm sail from. It's still in the same place, just here on the bow. So we've now got 1, 2, 3 stays. Moving backwards, a few little changes have gone on. There's a new windlass fitted here. It's exactly the same windlass as Puffin had before, but the old one was really corroded inside, and long story short, it wasn't worth trying to repair it, so we ended up putting a new windlass on board. The spinnaker poles that you see on the deck, so the race GGR requires us to carry 2 spinnaker poles each. Each of the boats has to carry at least 2 spinnaker poles in order to form a jury rig in the case of losing our mast. So if you look on my mast at the moment, I've actually got a whisper pole fitted to the mast. Quite often you'd put a spinnaker pole there, but for the race we can't have them there. We have to have them on the deck. So mine are on the deck, as you can see at the moment, and we've got a new fitting that I've made on the bow, which you can't see at the moment, but that will allow me to connect both of my spinnaker poles at the bow, and then back here I'll be able to lash them to one of my fittings down on the deck. So we've changed that. At the mast, it's still the same Puffin as before. So at the moment, all my reefing control lines are at the mast. I would like to bring all those lines back to the cockpit, but at the moment funding is not allowing that. So if I can raise some money between now and the race, those lines will come back, but at the moment they're still at the mast. You also see my nice new sail bag, so a little bit of marketing we thought would be a bit of fun. That was built courtesy of Steve at the Boat Shed Sailmakers in Pwllheli. Made a great job of that, and it's really helped because loads of people stopped by to say hello. Both of them are in Whitehaven and in Pwllheli, and it also means that gives people something to go and Google to look at. Peeping out from under the bag, we've got some nice new Marlow line beginning to appear on the boat. I'm very lucky because Marlow have stepped forward and said they'll sponsor Puffin for the race. So with their help, we're going to rig Puffin with their new recycled line, or lines that are made from recycled plastic, called Blue Ocean. We've got new sheets going on, there's a new halyard going on there as well, so over time we'll actually upgrade all of the lines. Other than that, as we come back, we modified the granny bars. Whether I bring lines back or not, I'm going to keep what's known as the granny bars. Not sure if you should say that these days, but that's what we call them at the mast because they're just so useful for when we go forward. Coming back, everything else is pretty much the same. We've got our race number on, and now we've got a fresh race number on. Again, it sort of helps to make Puffin stand out in the marina and attract a bit of attention to the boat. Let me see. Okay, as we come back to the stern, a couple of really important changes that we made quite early to Puffin. Probably the first one to point out is the hydrovane right at the back here. Now, at the moment, the hydrovane doesn't have her sail on or her blade in the water, the rudder in the water, but as many of you know, the hydrovane is a self-steering system. It's totally operated by wind only, so no power consumption, and all boats in the race will have some form of self-steering system, like a hydrovane or maybe an Aries or some other model. I plumped for the hydrovane simply because it's the one self-steering system that I was familiar with. and therefore I stuck with what I know, and that was one of the first things that we put on the boat, and it's already performed fantastically. Really pleased. Again, super strong construction, and as you can imagine, if you can see the way it's fitted to the stern of the boat, we had to put some pretty strong backing plates behind that and strengthen the area on the stern to take it. Although Puffin as a whole it's got a really strong construction. Isfan Copper before me really added a lot of strength to the boat, and I built on that foundation really. Coming forward a little bit, looking into the cockpit, again, one of the early things that we had to do was rebuild the steering for Puffin. The steering was pretty much shot following the last race, and actually we took the pedestal apart, we stripped it out, and we completely rebuilt the steering. In reality, it wasn't that bad, but it needed a fair bit of attention, but it wasn't that bad at all. A lot of corrosion got in there, and the bearings were really damaged. So we've dropped the rudder, we've rebuilt the steering all the way through, refurbished it, and hopefully it's now as good as new. So I should mention why we're here in Whitehaven to start with, not just because John Clark is here, of course, which has been quite good fun, but because of a guy called Chris Dobson and UK Marine Electronics. So Puffin is having all the electrical systems on board refitted, and Chris and his business stepped forward to help us with that part of the project, along with Victron. Victron Energy are the people that make the smart battery technology and battery charging technology, and they've sponsored Puffin for the race as well. So with Chris's help, Chris's design, and also his installation and Victron's equipment, we're right in the middle of that refit at the moment, and that's why we're here at Whitehaven, because that's where Chris is based. Looking down, we just thought this was a good spot actually, because we can stand above Puffin and have a bit of a look down from above. I've already mentioned the fact that we added the Solent stay, and we refurbished the steering. We've added the hydrovane on the stern of the boat. Probably worth mentioning, this is the original mast. This mast was new for the 2018 race, and it's a very nice Selden section. It was custom made for Istvan for the last race, and has obviously already done 30,000+ miles. So we've had that mast down 2 or 3 times now in the course of our refit, and had it inspected and checked, and the standing rigging inspected and checked, and so on. And it's good to go for another race. So at the moment, with no intentions of changing the mast. Okay, that's pretty much it for the outside of Puffin, but maybe it's time to go down, get on board, and let's go below, and I'll show you what we've done down there. Cool. So a couple more things while we're here on deck. In Puffin's cockpit, we made a couple of changes. So if you look down here, John, into the cockpit well, the way this was configured before, this part of the cockpit was closed off and was turned into a locker where the gas was kept. This was a gas locker. Now that did two really smart things. One, it provided a space to keep the gas, but it also reduced the volume of the cockpit. The benefit of that is if we get a big sea, following sea, and it comes into the cockpit, we've reduced the volume of water that can come in here. Now that was fine, but for me it didn't work. And the way I want to sail the boat, I needed that opening. I wanted to open that back up, so we've removed that locker and opened the space up to the original size that Traderwind 35 would have had. So that's a change here, and part of the reason I can do that is I'm not going to have gas on board. I'm only going to have an alcohol stove, so I'm not going to carry any propane gas. We also, when we rebuilt the pedestal, with the help of Sessions and Plath, we got a beautiful new binnacle compass, which is lovely. And what else have we done down here, John? We've got our new battery boxes down here. So this is part of the electrical refit of Puffin, and we've gone for these lead carbon batteries, which is essentially lead acid. That's exactly what they are. They are an AGM battery, but they've got a bit of carbon in their chemistry, and what it does, it allows the battery to be treated badly, and allows us to run it down potentially very low and still recover. So we've made sort of quite big units, and we need to house them somewhere, and long story short, we've decided to put them here in the lockers in these custom boxes that we've made. These will be essentially watertight, and within this locker, which will be as watertight as we can make it as well. And as you can see, the battery and some of the components are in here. And then when we look at the electrical system in the boat later, I'll talk you through that. So new battery boxes, and we've got a port and starboard one on each side. And that's it. So we're down below on Puffin now, and what we thought we'd do is turn this into a two-part video. Part one will be the walk around that we've just been looking at on the outside of Puffin, and then in part two I'm going to take you down below decks and show you all the changes that we've made to Puffin systems since we began the refit. Now this is an experiment, so if you like this format and you think we should do some more of it, let me know. If you don't like it, also you can let me know. But if you have any questions, or if you think I've got something wrong, then just make some comments and I'll read them all and I will answer them all. And we will see you in part two.